Recorded Books presents an unabridged recording of Great Harry, The Extravagant Life of Henry VIII, by Carolly Erickson, narrated by Nelson Runger. This book, copyrighted 1980 by the author, is recorded by permission of Summit Books, a division of Simon & Schuster, Incorporated. This performance is copyrighted 1988 by Recorded Books, Incorporated. William Thomas, author of The Pilgrim, wrote of his contemporary, Henry VIII, "Of personage, he was one of the goodliest men that lived in his time, very high of stature, in manners more than a man, and proportionable in all his members unto that height. Prudent he was in counsel and forecasting, most liberal in rewarding his faithful servants, and ever unto his enemies as it behoveth a prince to be. He was learned in all sciences, and had the gift of many tongues. He was a perfect theologian, a good philosopher, and a strong man at arms. A jeweller, a perfect builder as well of fortresses as of pleasant palaces, and from one to another there was no necessary kind of knowledge from a king's degree to a carter's, but that he had an honest sight in it. What would you I should say of him? He was undoubtedly the rarest man that lived in his time." But Thomas was writing of his king, and it was an age in which flattery could get you everywhere. The real Henry VIII was also known to be vindictive, deceitful, paranoid, bloodthirsty, and cruel. As Carolly Erickson says in her preface, "This is a retelling of Henry's personal story, and as such it's more the life of a man than of a king. As popular history, it makes no attempt to arrive at a fresh assessment of his reign, nor to detail the political accomplishments of Henry or his ministers. What Miss Erickson offers us instead are carefully drawn portraits of Henry, Catherine of Aragon, Cardinal Wolsey, Anne Boleyn, Thomas Cromwell, bringing them and the world they live in back to life. And now, Great Harry.
Preface. There is a story that in the reign of Bloody Mary, when hundreds of Protestants were being burned for their beliefs, the corpse of Henry VIII was torn from its resting place at Windsor, and by the Queen's orders thrown into the flames and burned to ashes. That Mary Tudor should have taken such bitter and final revenge against her father says much about the passions Henry aroused in others. From his family, his courtiers, his subjects, he called forth both staunch affection and undying hatred. Yet an even stronger feeling overshadowed these, a feeling of astounded awe. For Henry Tudor was, as one who knew him wrote, undoubtedly the rarest man that lived in his time. Even more than his exalted rank, his towering height, powerful physique, and extraordinary handsomeness set Henry apart from his contemporaries. A phenomenal athlete, he seemed to draw on superhuman energies as he outrode, outdanced, and outfought friends and rivals both in England and abroad. These physical gifts were balanced by unfailing warmth and charm, chivalrous delicacy of feeling, and perceptive mental endowments that enabled Henry to share fully in the intellectual life of the humanists at his court and to win their respect. Beyond these personal attributes, Henry possessed the indefinable quality of majesty, the ensorceling aura of kingly command and fatherly authority that overawed his subjects and gave his enemies pause. Midway in his reign, darker qualities of mind emerged in Henry, growing stronger as he was continually thwarted in his aims, and in the end eclipsing his attractive nature. The radiant hero of the Battle of the Spurs became the troubled, anxious ruler of the mid-1520s, harried in mind by the fear of divine vengeance, then the fearsome, murderous king of the 1530s, whose wrath was fatal to those about him. The Catholic Church puts at 50 the number of martyrs whose deaths he brought about by execution or starvation. Several wives, at least a dozen blood relatives, and a similar number of one-time counselors and friends lengthened the list of victims. By the 1540s,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?